Roku was a cheerful and confident boy who dreamed of becoming the strongest exorcist and getting rid of demons from the world. However, when he lost all his friends in a tragedy caused by an incredibly powerful monster, his confidence was shattered, and he thought that he would never amount to anything. He gave up on his dream of becoming an exorcist and began living like a loser. But when he met another exorcist named Benio who shared the same dream as his past self, Roku could not help but overcome his fears to join forces with her to save the world. Before that happened, Roku still lived in a dorm with an old exorcist named Zen and his students, but refused to aid them when they went to fight a demon. While two of the boys are not happy about his reluctance to help, their leader Ryo reveals that 2 years ago, Roku was a powerful and respected exorcist, but a great tragedy 2 years ago completely changed him. On the other hand, Benio is a talented and ambitious exorcist who has been called to Tokyo by the exorcist headquarters because of her talent. She is smiling at her family photo on the train when suddenly, the lights go out. Benio knows what is happening, and when the evil demons suddenly appear next to the windows, she stays calm while everyone panics and runs away. Once the coach is empty, Benio draws out a talisman and opens the gate to the parallel world called Megano, which is the origin place of all the demons and also the place where exorcists go to dispose of them. Just as Benio enters Megano through the gate, the demons come creeping inside, and she dons a mask to face them. She fights against the demons with her enchanted sword, slashing them in half with just one swing of her sword and exorcising them. One of the demons begins eating the smaller ones while Benio is busy fighting others. The more it consumes, the bigger and more powerful the demon becomes, and it soon transforms into a giant, monstrous bird. Benio dodges its attacks and then uses a strengthening enchantment on her body to endure fighting against the powerful enemy. The bird demon grabs her and flies to the sky, but Benio increases her strength with a talisman to free herself and then uses another talisman to enchant her sword with fire. She pierces through the bird demon with her flame sword and neutralizes it, but she is too hungry and exhausted now, so she loses consciousness and falls down. At the same time, Roku is on a bridge, thinking about the tragedy where he lost all his friends because of the demons. Suddenly, he notices a golden light above him, and as he looks up, he finds Benio falling down from the sky. Roku instinctively jumps off the bridge to catch her, and both of them fall into the river below. He manages to save Benio somehow, and after she is done squeezing off some water from her clothes, she takes out a map and hands it over to Roku. She wants him to lead her to the place marked on the map, but despite living in the city for a couple of years, Roku has no idea about it. Anyway, being a pitiful simp, he decides to show Benio around. He asks her questions about herself, but Benio doesn't reply because she feels conversations are annoying. They soon get lost, and while Roku is panicking, Benio points towards a sweet store because she is hungry and has no money. Roku is not just a simp, but he is also dumb, so he gives the girl he is meeting for the first time his wallet and asks her to buy something. After doing that, he acts shocked when his wallet has been emptied, but Benio doesn't mind him and happily munches on the sweets. Roku is frustrated because of this, and Benio keeps following him even as he heads home. Two kids pass by them on the road, but then suddenly, the sky turns dark, and when things return to normal, the kids are gone. Benio realizes that they were taken away by a demon, so she opens a gate to Megano, and Roku understands that she is an exorcist. They both are teleported to Megano, where a demon is trying to eat the two siblings. Benio impales its mouth with her swords and then quickly slashes its head away. She heads towards the kids to comfort them, when suddenly numerous demons emerge from the ground, surrounding them. Roku gets a panic attack as he sees the girl get surrounded by so many enemies, but she is not fazed at all. She uses multiple enchantment talismans at once to increase her strength, speed, defense, and sight. She grabs her swords and uses a special move to blitz the demons surrounding her in an instant. She dances around the battlefield, hacking the monsters with swift swings of her blades, exercising them before they can make a move. Benio then heals the injured boy, and Roku comes down to praise her skills, but he clearly tells her that he didn't want to come to Megano with her. Just then, the ground beneath it begins to rumble, and a giant spider demon comes out of it. Benio tells Roku to protect the kids while she rushes ahead to face the giant monster, who sends her away with a single slap. Benio realizes that she can't win while protecting everyone, so she tells Roku to take the kids and leave Megano. She begins walking towards the giant demon, and Roku tries convincing her that it will be suicidal. but she tells him that it is her dream to become the strongest exorcist and get rid of all the evil demons in the world. Her words leave Roku rattled because he used to say the same thing in the past. Ignoring him, Benio goes ahead to face the demon. She charges at the giant demon with her full speed, but only manages to leave a small hole in its thick armor. So she uses a special skill that capitalizes on her incredible speed to land hundreds of attacks on the demon every second. She manages to whittle away one of its arms, but in doing so, she loses a lot of power, and her mask shatters too. She then charges at the demon head first, pushing it back a long way. However, she is too tired now, her enchantments have expired, and she has run out of talismans too. Benio is about to accept her fate when, suddenly, Roku stands in front of her. He tells her not to talk about exterminating all demons when she can't deal with something like this. She takes offense to this, but he tells her that if she dies, she can't save anyone. He begins walking towards the giant demon with a black talisman in his hand. He begins chanting a spell to activate it, but that only brings back the PTSD from the night he lost all his friends. Roku braves the trauma and thinks about how he used to have the same dream as Benio once. That gives him the strength to complete his spell, and a golden enchantment appears over his right arm, which vanishes and appears on the talisman next. Roku's right hand is suddenly engulfed in flames, and then it transforms as the special grade enchantment appears around it. Using the power of his enchanted fist, Roku punches the giant demon with all his might, causing its body to rupture and explode, successfully exorcising it. Benio is stunned to see this, and she tells Roku that she has never seen a power like this, but he only asks her not to tell anyone about this because he doesn't want to be an exorcist. In return, Benio stomps on his foot because he hurt her ego when he rushed in to save her earlier. She opens the gate to the real world and keeps telling Roku that she doesn't need his help. He tells her that if that is the case, he will just leave her alone and start heading home. Benio stops him and introduces herself, and Roku does the same out of courtesy. He wonders what she will talk about next, but Benio simply walks away, leaving him perplexed. However, once he returns to his dorm, he is shocked to see Benio there, and she is receiving the VIP treatment from Zen and others. The flustered Roku demands to know why she is here, and Zen tells him that she will stay here with them from today on. Roku doesn't like it and keeps staring at her, which enrages Benio's familiar Kanako, who attacks Roku. Roku is fed up with everyone treating him like shit, so he hurries to his room. The next morning, he is woken up when Benio plugs his nostrils and mouth to stop him from snoring. He asks what the hell she is doing in his room, and she tells him to accompany her to Magano because she wants to test their strengths in a friendly competition. Roku tells her that it is not happening and pushes her out of the room, saying that he only fought yesterday in the heat of the moment and that won't happen again because he hates exorcists. At the same time, Ryo was waking everyone up because they had to deal with a demon, and he overheard Roku saying that he fought yesterday. He is shocked, but there are more urgent things at hand, and even Benio volunteers to join them. She goes to Magano with Ryo and two other boys, where they find a giant frog demon. Benio takes action before anyone else, rushing towards the demon and applying enchantments to herself while dodging its attacks. Once she has cast all 4 enchantments on herself, she summons her swords and begins hacking the demon, finishing it off quickly while thinking of how powerful Roku was yesterday. Later, Ryo approaches Benio to confirm if Roku really fought yesterday, and she affirms, adding that he was really strong. They take the train back home, and Ryo tells Benio about how he has known Roku since childhood. That time, Roku was a cheerful boy who was determined to become the world's strongest exorcist, but then a tragic event occurred, and he gave up on being an exorcist entirely. Later, Roku is still sulking about how bad things have been happening to him ever since he met Benio. He heads to the bathroom to wash his face and doesn't notice the occupied sign at the door, barging straight in to find Benio coming out of the bath. He is flustered and closes the door immediately, but Benio is furious, and she charges after him to kill him. Roku runs at full speed and collides into a weirdo wearing only underpants at the gate. He asks who this pervert is, and an old, wrinkled midget lady who serves Benio tells him to be respectful to Erema, who is the head of all exorcists. Erema tells everyone the long story about why he is only wearing underwear and then quickly arrives at the main topic, which concerns Roku and Benio. He orders Zen to gather everyone in the Hall of 5 Elements, and the old man leads everyone to a nearby shrine, where a hidden staircase opens up by activating a trap switch. Once they descend down the stairs, Roku and others find themselves in a giant hall, where all the senior exorcists from all over Japan are assembled. Some of them begin sucking up to Benio because she comes from a powerful family. Just then, Arima addresses everyone from his platform, declaring that he received an oracle that the long-drawn war between exorcists and demons is soon going to end with the appearance of Miko, the child of gods. Arima explains that the Miko will be born with powers of exorcism beyond belief, and he will be the one to exorcise all the demons and destroy Megano itself, bringing true peace to the world. The exorcists are delighted at this news and ask who the Miko is, and Arima calls forth Benio. Everyone believes that she was the most likely candidate anyway, but just as she reaches the center stage, Arima calls Roku to join her too. Everyone is shocked to hear this, especially Roku, but Ryo tells him to go ahead first. Arima declares that Benio and Roku have the greatest potential out of all the exorcists here, and he tells them to show off their power by fighting each other seriously. Roku tells Arima that he is not playing his silly games, but Benio is already geared up for a fight. She attacks Roku without hesitation because she wants to beat him and earn the title of the strongest exorcist. Roku can only keep dodging her attacks as he tells her to stop, and he doesn't fight back even as Benio hits him to the ground. Arima taunts him, saying that an exorcist who doesn't fight is even more worthless than a weak exorcist. He says that weak exorcists die early, just like Roku's friends. As Arima keeps insulting his friends, Roku's rage explodes. He draws out his black talisman to enchant his fist as he charges at the chief exorcist. Benio interferes, telling him that she is his opponent. She enchants her swords with flames and attacks Roku, but he blows away the flame and her with just the air pressure from his punch. Despite that, Benio is determined to defeat him and become the strongest exorcist, but Roku tells her to shut up because he doesn't want to hear it. When she tries to remind him that he had the same dream in the past, Roku gets angry and shoots some stones at her with his spiritual power. Benio is completely pushed back, but then she recalls the death of her parents, and that becomes a source of incredible energy that pushes Roku back as he tries to attack her. Benio charges at Roku, hitting him with a speed that he can't even keep track of. She keeps hitting him from all sides, so Roku just hits the ground and blocks her path. Benio decides to leap at him, using the wall as her base, but Roku is ready for that. He throws a punch at her, and Benio is ready to counter with her blades, but Arima is satisfied now, so he uses a special talisman and instantly dispels their enchantments. Benio falls on top of Roku, and by the time they get up, Arima arrives there and apologizes to Roku for insulting his friends, even though he didn't mean it, because he only wanted to bring forth his real strength. After that, Arima turns to all the exorcists and asks if they are now satisfied with the power of the two people he has chosen as the twin star exorcists. Everyone is shocked to hear this, especially Zen and the old midget lady, but Roku and Benio have no clue about what it means. Arima tells them that twin star exorcists is the title given to two very powerful exorcists, whose kids will be born as the Miko and En demons once and for all. He declares them husband and wife with that and asks them to have a kid soon, leaving them utterly flabbergasted. The next morning, Roku runs into Benio in the dining hall, and neither of them want to look at each other's faces. Just then, the two other exorcists come there. The red mohawk guy Atsu teases Roku and Benio, calling them the future couple, and the guy with the H-anime hairdo, Shin, tells them that they should start living in the same room today. Benio gets angry at this and says that she did not become an exorcist to play house. She storms out of the room with that, and Roku's friends tell him to use his special ability to become a powerful exorcist and win her heart. Just then, Ryo comes there and tells Roku that Benio is going to attend the same school as him starting today, so he should take care of her. To his shock, Benio is in the same class as him, and Roku is certain that Arima set it up like this. Apart from Roku, every boy is glad to have a pretty girl in their class, and she wins over the girls by outperforming boys in the physical education class. During the lunch break, she eats lunch by herself on the rooftop, when her familiar Kanako suddenly picks up the energy of a demon, which is giving Ryo and his team a hard time. Benio can tell that the demon is a strong one, so she asks Roku's childhood friend and the class president, Mayura, to make up an excuse about why she had to leave school early. Roku follows her, and Benio tells him about the demon Ryo's team is fighting. She tells him that she is going to save them, and she hopes that he will join her too. Roku returns to the classroom, but his entire attention is on his arm, and Mayura notices it. So after school, she drags him to an amusement park to ease him out of his gloomy mood. On the other hand, Benio arrives in Megano to help Ryo and his team, who are all out of gas. She puts on her usual 4 enchantments to increase all her abilities and then enchants her blades as well. She rushes at the giant demon, but it is too strong to be taken down in one hit, and when she gets back on the ground, a demon pops right behind her. Fortunately, Ryo has her back covered, and he asks her to pay full attention to the giant demon. So Benio keeps attacking it, but then the demon hits a roller coaster track with such power that he momentarily tears open a portal between Megano and Earth. This causes an earthquake in the real world that breaks the roller coaster, and coincidentally, it is at the same amusement park where Roku is. He rushes to save the boys stuck on the roller coaster because seeing them in danger reminds him of the time he couldn't save his friends. Meanwhile, on the other side, Benio deals hundreds of swift attacks to weaken the giant demon, and then uses a powerful attack to split it into 2. Back in the real world, Roku walks Mayura home and thanks her for bringing him to the amusement park. She has guessed that he is dealing with some exorcism-related troubles, but he tells her that he feels better because of her. At night, Benio sits by the pond and thinks about her promise to her brother about becoming the world's strongest exorcist. Just then, Ryo comes there, and he starts talking about Roku with her. He believes that Benio is the person who can reignite Roku's ambitions to be a strong exorcist. She remarks that Ryo seems to care a lot about Roku, and he replies that Roku is like his cute younger brother, unaware that he is hearing everything from the other side. The next day, Ryo calls a meeting and divides the tasks for the day. He and the 2 boys are going to the Exorcist Association office in the nearby city to submit a report, and Benio is staying back to do maintenance on her swords. Ryo asks Roku what he plans to do, and he says that he has no plans. Ryo tells him to study and begins nagging at him, which frustrates Roku, and he leaves the house. He knows that Ryo worries about him, but he does it a lot, and that bothers him. While Roku is just roaming around aimlessly, Ryo and his team enter a house whose residents go missing within a month to exorcise it. They come to a room that gives off creepy vibes, and then suddenly, they feel an intense and unnerving pressure. Ryo realizes that there is a powerful demon in this space, so he opens a gate to Megano. Suddenly, a huge demon with 2 heads appears in front of them and hits Atsu and Shin. By the time they overcome the pain from the attack, Ryo is nowhere to be seen. Back in the house, Roku tiptoes inside so that no one notices him. But then suddenly, the door opens and Atsu and Shin come there, exhausted and drenched. They tell Roku that a demon ambushed them and took Ryo away. They tried looking for him, but there were too many demons in their way, and they couldn't do it. Roku panics on hearing this, and he immediately runs to Benio's room, begging her to lend him her strength. He says that he is afraid of fighting, but he is more afraid of losing Ryo, who is like his brother, and asks Benio to help save him. Benio tells him to raise his head because he doesn't need to beg an exorcist to protect people from demons. On the other hand, Ryo is trying to run away from the 2-headed demon in Megano, but he is too exhausted to fight, and he doesn't even have any talismans left to return home. The demon roughs him up, and just as it is about to eat him, Roku comes there, screaming Ryo's name, and hits the giant demon with his fist. The giant demon is blown away instantly, and Roku goes to check on the injured Ryo. He asks why he had to be so reckless, and Ryo shows him a servant card that Roku gave him in their childhood. He used to tell Ryo that once he became the strongest exorcist, he would keep him as his servant, and he used to tease him about it. Roku gets emotional seeing that Ryo still has the card, and then suddenly, a demon attacks them from behind. Roku sends it flying with 1 punch, but there are many smaller demons who want their share of fun. However, Benio comes to the rescue, slashing all the smaller demons down with her incredible speed. There are still too many demons around, and even the giant demon has gotten up despite losing 1 head. Roku rushes ahead to deal with it, but gets swarmed by the smaller demon. Benio helps him out and then begins heading towards the big guy, but Roku runs ahead first because he wants to beat it personally. He dodges the attack of the giant demon and then obliterates it with a punch, and in the meantime, Benio has finished dealing with all the small fries. Roku then rushes to Ryo's side and apologizes for lashing out at him in the morning. Ryo just laughs, and the 2 boys bicker as they head to the real world, where Atsu and Shin were waiting for them. Benio comes out quite late after purifying the house, and Roku thanks her for helping him today. She tells him that there is no need for that, and he remarks that she is a better person than he thought. Benio just replies that he is as useless as she thought, but when he fights, he is quite cool. Roku is conflicted about how to react to these words, so he returns to default and begins quarreling with her. The next day, Roku visits Ryo in the hospital with some snacks and tries discussing starting exorcisms again. But Ryo tells him not to hurry things and to take his time because it will be a hard decision for him. After that, he returns home, where he finds Benio and others creating talismans, and everyone is impressed by Benio's skill. She asks Roku to try drawing some talismans as well, but it turns out that asking him to do this was wasting paper and ink. Just then, Zen comes running to the room and tells them that there are dozens of demons a short distance from here, and they need to immediately go to that location and subdue them. Benio takes charge and asks Roku to come along too, so he does, even though he acts like he is just coming out for a walk because he has nothing better to do. They reach their destination, which is an elementary school, and a teacher is searching for students who suddenly vanished in thin air. Benio immediately opens the gate to Magano, and Roku rushes ahead to save the boys who are being pursued by the demon. Benio joins the action soon and kills all the demons near the boys, but there are many more of them left. Roku decides to use his special move by shooting rocks at the demon, but he forgets to use a talisman the first time around. The second time, he enchants the rocks with a talisman and then shoots them with such power that just one hit is enough to destroy a demon. Benio also uses her special move to speed blitz the demons, and Roku keeps supporting her. Benio tells Atsu and Shin to evacuate the boys, but before they can open the gate, demons emerge from the ground and injure them. The boys are terrified now, but luckily, Atsu and Shin pull through and succeed in evacuating them. Roku relaxes upon seeing this, and because of that, a demon grabs him. Suddenly, an attack hits the demon and sends it crashing, and as the dust settles, a red-haired exorcist makes his appearance. The demons immediately surround him, and he uses a special enchantment on his sword, turning it into a special grade weapon. He stabs the ground with his sword, creating a powerful firestorm that destroys all the demons at once. Everyone is amazed by his power, and then the redhead approaches Roku and others. Roku asks him who he is, and the boy tells him to give his name first. However, Benio seems to know the redhead exorcists as Shimon, one of the 12 guardians. Atsu doesn't know what that means, so Kanako tells him that the 12 guardians are the most powerful exorcists, with knowledge, strength, and experience far surpassing the rest. Shimon has come here to meet Roku, and he decides to punch him first because he was distracted in the battle earlier, and that is a fatal flaw for an exorcist. He pities Benio for having such a pathetic man as her partner, and she agrees. Just then, a demon emerges from the ground and begins eating other demons to grow even more powerful. It turns into a King Kong variant and hits the ground to create a shockwave that knocks Atsu and Shin out. Roku is enraged and runs towards the demon, and Shimon tries to stop him, but Benio holds him back and tells him that despite all his flaws, Roku is one hell of an exorcist. Roku uses his special grade enchantment to clash fists with the King Kong demon, blowing it to smithereens instantly. Just then, Shimon gets a call from Arima, who tells him to return to the headquarters at once because he has an urgent mission for him. Shimon follows his orders and opens a gate to reality, and Roku follows him because he is not done yet. However, he runs out of energy as soon as he reaches the real world. Benio and others also come out of Magano, and the boys thank them for saving their lives. Later, everyone has dinner, and Atsu and Shin can't stop gushing over how amazing Shimon was. Even Roku admits that Shimon was really powerful despite being only 2 years older than him, but he keeps his excitement under wraps. The next day in school, some girls try befriending Benio, but she senses a demon nearby, so she leaves the class without talking properly to them. This creates a buzz among other students, and Mayura is worried that Benio might be in some bad company. So the next day, Mayura tries to be extra friendly with Benio all through the day. Benio asks her why she is doing all this, and Mayura says that she doesn't want her to be with dangerous people anymore. Benio panics, thinking that Mayura knows about her being an exorcist, and she tells the airhead that she doesn't need to worry about her because she is more than capable of looking after herself. On her way home, Benio thinks about how desperately Mayura wanted to be her friend, but she cannot afford to waste her time with friendship and other things. Later, Ryo arrives back at the dorm after being discharged from the hospital, and everyone throws a party for him. He is planning to get back to action the very next day, but Roku notices that he is not fully healed yet, so he casually offers to help instead. Everyone is shocked by this news, and then Ryo begins to ruffle Roku, saying that he is finally getting responsible. The next day, Benio takes the day off and lets Roku go with the team at Ryo's request. She uses her time off to go jogging, but she finds Mayura there. To win over Benio, Mayura takes her to her favorite sweet shop and buys her favorite sweets. She is adamant about not letting Benio go to the dangerous guys today, but she replies that someone else has gone there instead of her today. She calls that person useless, but when he gets serious, he is really inspiring. Those words immediately remind Mayura of Roku. Just then, the room darkens, and when the girls come out, they find a fissure in space that connects Earth and Megano. Benio immediately uses a gate talisman to enter Megano, and only after that does Mayura realize that she is an exorcist. Benio kills the demons inside Megano and frees the human they were trying to kidnap. Once she returns to the real world, Mayura immediately hugs her, saying that she was worried about her. She keeps crying, and Benio finally hugs her back, accepting her friendship. They walk home, and Mayura says that Benio should have told her the truth before, because she is also from a family of exorcists, and the old man Zen is actually her grandpa. She asks Benio where she is living, and she is not happy to learn the answer. Meanwhile, inside Megano, Roku uses his rock bullet technique to quickly defeat some demons, but more of them pop out from the ground. They keep fighting the demon, but then suddenly, a giant one comes out of the ground and releases a powerful sonic wave to push everyone back. Ryo rushes to attack it, but the demon hits him away and then slashes the barrier spells that Etsu and Shin cast. He takes them out with the next attack, and then Ryo also faces defeat as he tries to protect Roku from harm. Roku is furious now, so he uses his special grade enchantment and destroys the giant demon with one hit. They come out of Megano soon, and as they are horsing around in front of the house, Benio and Mayura come out to see them. Mayura instantly tackles Roku and pins him to the ground, because she is really pissed that Roku has been living under the same roof as Benio this entire time. She has a huge crush on him which he is unaware of, and she can't bear seeing him so close to another girl. The next day, Arima suddenly springs up at their door to congratulate Roku for restarting his work as an exorcist, and then tells the twin star exorcists to get ready to come with him to a place where they will be tested thoroughly. After hyping them about the trial, Arima takes the two young exorcists to his luxury vacation villa with a swimming pool and an inbuilt gym. After giving them a tour of the house, Arima takes them to the special room where the trial will take place, but it just contains a large bed for newlywed couples. The chief exorcist tells them that this house no longer belongs to him but to the two of them. He declares that it is his wedding present for them, and they should use this bed together so that the Miko can be born soon. Roku and Benio get flustered on hearing this, and then Roku kicks Arima to the wall, saying that he doesn't plan to get married to a girl with a nasty temper, and Benio has the same thing to say about him. Just then, Zen comes there, and he is also in on the plan. He has even called movers to bring Roku and Benio's stuff here, and just as the boxes are put inside, Arima and others take their leave, even taking the familiar Kanako with him. Arima has prepared separate rooms for Roku and Benio so that they can grow closer gradually. Roku freaks out after he shuts himself in his room because his raging hormones are driving him mad about the fact that he is alone in this house with a girl his age. Arima is watching him through the security cameras, and he switches the channel to monitor Benio, who wants to switch the location of her bed. However, the bed does not budge when she tries pushing it because Arima has something elaborate planned out. He presses a button, and then suddenly, the handles to open the doors disappear, and then the rooms start shaking. The wall partitioning the rooms also sinks down. The roof is lifted up through an elaborate mechanism, and the floor starts tilting. Roku and Benio can only try to stay on their feet as the room's floor is inclined at 60 degrees, and then suddenly, Arima contacts them through a giant monitor on the other side of the room. He tells them that this is their first trial, where they must press a button within the air duct to return their rooms to normal. He asks them to work together to pass the trial, and cuts the video with that. Roku and Benio notice that the room is like a crudely designed obstacle course, and they need to work together to pass it. They agree to work together, and Roku leaps towards the first bed. He fails to reach it and falls headfirst, so Benio takes the initiative and jumps up. After that, she pulls him up on the bed, but in doing that, he somehow ends up on top of her. Their faces get dangerously close, but Roku somehow stops himself from touching Benio. For the next step, Benio suggests Roku go first and then provide her with a platform to jump directly to the second bed. However, because of lack of coordination, her knee hits him in the face, and they both come tumbling down to the starting point. They try again, and this time, Roku successfully helps Benio reach the second bed. She lowers the bedsheet for him to climb up, and then they try to reach the vent. Since it is too high, Roku suggests Benio climb on his shoulder, and though flustered, she does it. She manages to open the vent, and then Roku asks her to step on his head and go on ahead. She does that, and Roku follows her, when suddenly he gets a call from Ryo that a really powerful demon has appeared and they need his and Benio's help. Roku tells him that once they are free from this place, they will immediately rush to help them. They climb to the end of the duct, where they see a screen with a puzzle on it, and only the correct answer will let them go, while the wrong answer will send them to the starting point. Roku manages to guess the answer to the puzzle by sheer luck, which opens the path for them to exit their crooked situation. He immediately rushes to help his friends, who are struggling against a praying mantis demon. He punches the mantis away, and then Benio stabs it from behind. As the mantis struggles to free itself, Roku asks Benio to step away and exorcises it with a powerful punch. He and Benio complement each other, and then suddenly, Roku notices that one of her hairpins is missing. Benio panics because it was a gift from her late brother, and she frantically starts searching for it around the spot where she fought the demon earlier. However, Roku has a better idea, and he takes her back to the vacation villa, where he finds the hairpin in the air duct. Benio thanks him, and then asks how he knew it would be here, and Roku says that when they entered Magano, he felt something seemed different about her, and thought that it must be because of the hairpin, so he realized that it was lost in the villa. Benio asks if he was watching her so closely, and he gets flustered as he says that he was just observing her fighting style. They order dinner after that, and as Benio is going to her room, Roku asks her about her brother. She sits down and reveals that her twin brother was the kindest person who always pushed her to become strong. However, when their parents died, they were taken in by different relatives, and one day, she received news that her brother died on a mission protecting his friends. Roku apologizes for bringing up such a sensitive topic and then says that he is envious of Benio because he never had parents. He was abandoned and became an exorcist because he was adopted by some exorcists, so he doesn't have a fancy lineage like hers. Benio tells him that it does not matter because he is really strong, even though he is useless everywhere else. Roku doesn't like this and starts quarreling with her, and the brief peace between them vanishes like that. The next day, Mayura pays them a visit, and she is shocked to learn that Roku and Benio are supposed to get married and have a baby soon. She freaks out, but Roku tells her that he is never going to marry Benio, and she agrees. Roku says that they are being held here against their will by Chief Exorcist Arima, and Mayura is worried about an entirely different thing now. She grabs Roku and asks him if he has restarted working as an exorcist, because after all the hurt and pain he went through, she thought he would never take this dangerous path again. She tells him to quit fighting demons, but then Benio intervenes, saying that Roku has saved lives, and he chose this path himself. Mayura retorts by saying that Roku doesn't belong in the dangerous world of exorcism, but Benio says that if they take exorcism away from him, he has no good thing going on for him. Mayura says that there are good things about Roku too, like that he still believes in Santa and has memorized the multiplication table of 6. Roku gets serious emotional damage from this conversation, and he begs them to stop. The two girls finally ask him what he wants, and after hesitating for a bit, Roku says that he wants to use his power to save others, even if he may have to lose something down the path again. Mayura is hurt on hearing this, so she tells Roku to do as he pleases and then runs away from the house. She still remembers the day Roku burned his books and talismans while crying, saying that his friends died because of him. As she wonders what forced him to change his mind, Mayura doesn't notice a spirit following her. Back in the villa, Kanako brings lunch for Benio along with Mayura's good luck charm he found on the ground. Just by looking at it, Benio can tell that the good luck charm keeps Mayura's spiritual power hidden, and it needs to be returned to her at once or the demons will find her. Roku grabs the charm and runs to find Mayura, who gets kidnapped by the demon in the form of the boy and taken to Magano. The boy turns into a powerful demon and grabs Mayura with its tentacles as he tries to consume her whole. Mayura cries for help, and suddenly Roku arrives there, punching away the demon and saving the girl. She loses consciousness with that, so Roku places her on the ground and gets ready to fight the demon, and Benio also joins her, but neither of them notice the shady person far behind the demon smirking at them. Benio and Roku attack the demon together, but it doesn't take much damage. They can feel that its speed, power, and resilience are a class apart from other demons. But then suddenly, the demon is slashed into bits by a powerful exorcist who came to help them out. Roku recognizes the technique as well as the guy with huge dark circles under his eyes, and he is not pleased to see him. It turns out that the exorcist named Sei is one of the 12 guardians. He is also Zen's son-in-law and Mayura's dad, and the first teacher of Roku and Ryo. Roku tries sucking up to his teacher, but he is not pleased by many things. First of all, he has heard that Roku has been overusing his power recently, and he asks him if he plans to return to being an exorcist. Roku says that he doesn't plan to save the world, but he can't let the people close to him suffer. Sei just slaps him away and then asks him to stop acting so noble with this cursed power of his. He gives Roku a chance to fight and defeat him, and only then will he accept that he is fit to become an exorcist again. Sei goes first, shooting the rock bullets at Roku with far greater power than him. Roku counters by throwing a giant rock bullet at him, but Sei easily shatters it with one shot. That was only a diversion Roku was using to land a punch on his master, but Sei sees through that too and steals his black talisman, nullifying his abilities. As Roku tries getting it back, Sei kicks him and stomps on him, saying that his power is not to save people, but to push them away. He reminds him of the tragedy 2 years ago, and this spurs Benio into action. She asks Sei what he means, and he decides to tell her the darkest secret of Roku, because they are going to be a married couple soon. Sei tells Benio that 2 years ago, the dorm where Roku and many other exorcist students lived was attacked by demons from Magano, killing everyone. However, that is just the cover story, because no demon appeared. Instead, the only survivor, Roku, was the one who killed everyone after going out of control. Benio is mortified to hear that, because her twin brother was in the same dorm, and he died in the accident. She furiously asks Roku if Sei is telling the truth, and he cannot bring himself to answer her question. Sei decides to tell Roku that Benio is actually the sister of his friend Yudo, and he is stunned to hear that. He finally admits that he killed all his friends with his own hands, and Benio snaps. She points her sword at him, but Sei tells her to stop because there is more to this story. However, before he can say anything, the shady person comes forth to meet them, and removes his hood to reveal that he is Yudo, Benio's brother. Roku is perplexed to see him here, but Sei says that since his other disciple has come here, things have become easier for him to explain. He pulls out his talisman to fight Yudo, who warns him that his daughter can get caught in the crossfire. He clarifies that he is not here to fight, but to talk with Roku today. Roku yells at him, asking how he is still alive, and Yudo says that the wound he gave him 2 years ago has completely healed up. Seeing his carefree attitude pisses Roku off, and he rushes towards him to attack him. However, Yudo casts a spell without using a talisman and ties him up while talking about how many things happened on that night 2 years ago. That night, Yudo had called all his friends into his room, promising to increase their spell power through a special ritual. Everyone was eager to get their power increased so that they could join Roku and Yudo on exorcism missions, but little did they know that Yudo had very sinister motives for that. Unaware of this, Roku was heading outside to buy some snacks when he suddenly found the door of the house locked. As he and another girl tried to force the door open, the girl behind them was struck by something, and she immediately lost consciousness. When Roku went to check up on her, one of his friends came to him, crying and asking him to stop Yudo before he caused more harm. Roku couldn't understand anything, but then his friend told him that she didn't want to turn into a demon. Just as she said that, she transformed into a demon, shocking Roku. However, Yudo counted that as a failure, and he kept experimenting on others, turning them into demons one by one. Roku and the girl with him tried to run away, but the door did not open, and the girl was snatched and eaten by the demons. Roku was horrified and traumatized by the sight, and coming back to the present, he still trembles in rage as he recalls that. Benio is utterly confused now and asks what is happening. Sei places a gentle hand on her shoulder as he tells her that whatever her elder brother said just now is the complete truth of the tragedy that took place in the dorms 2 years ago. He says that demon corruption is the darkest of forbidden arts that should not be known to anyone. Yet Yudo somehow found it out and used it. He used the forbidden art to turn the exorcist trainees into demons, and the only way they could be saved was by killing them before they started hurting others. Benio can't believe that her kind and righteous brother would do something so cruel and twisted. Yudo just tells her to shut up because she is annoying him, and Sei tells the devastated girl that her brother always fooled her and everyone else, and this is his true nature. Benio still can't believe it and asks Yudo about the promise they made in front of their parents' graves to become the strongest exorcist. Yudo mocks their parents as idiots who preached ideals without achieving anything real, and on top of that, they died protecting someone as useless as Benio. He tells her that she is a worthless exorcist, and acting to be her kind brother was the most stressful time of his life. Benio falls to her knees with tears flooding down from her eyes, and Yudo just tells her to disappear from his sight. Roku has had enough now, and he strains to break free from the restraints, telling Yudo that he will never forgive him. He charges at him and manifests his enchanted fist without using a talisman. However, there seems to be an evil aura radiating from it now. Yudo dodges Roku's first attack, which creates a huge crater on the ground, and then he rushes towards him again in a murderous frenzy. However, Yudo stops his attack with just one finger, using the same enchanted fist technique. He tells Roku that he has not mastered this technique yet, and then flicks him away. Roku keeps attacking him again and again, desperately, but Yudo hits him away each time, bloodying him up. Roku sees Roku taking serious damage the more he uses his power, so she suddenly appears in front of him to take his punch. Roku snaps out of his fury as he sees her, but there is not enough time to avoid hitting her. Benio is slammed against a container, and Roku's power dissipates. He rushes to her side, asking why she did this, and she replies that she felt like she had to stop him. Yudo appears behind them because he is not done yet. He declares that he hates Roku's guts, but he sees potential in him, which is why he invites him to be his henchman. Roku curses him, and Yudo tells him that, despite his potential, he doesn't have the commitment to become strong. He takes his leave with that, and then Sei also opens a portal to the real world. Once everyone is out, Sei takes Mayura and leaves, and Roku is left alone with Benio. Benio immediately growled on the ground, apologizing for all the cruel things her brother did to him 2 years ago and today. Roku tells her that it is not her fault, but Benio starts crying, saying that even though her brother gave him trauma that will last him for a lifetime, there is nothing better she can do than bow to him. Roku tells her that it was his fault for not being able to stop Yudo that day, and meeting him today made him realize something. He claims that Yudo was telling the truth when he accused him of not having the commitment to become strong. Roku declares that from today on, he will stop running away and grow stronger, and Benio shares the sentiment. That night, they go to Sei and plead with him to train them, but he says that he is too busy to waste his time with them. The next morning, Roku can only think about it when, suddenly, Benio comes there and tells him to get aside because he is her way. Roku grumpily leaves for the living room, where he is stunned to see a lady with a big and fancy hat, sipping tea on their couch that has been decorated with pretty roses. Roku asks the woman who she is, but Benio comes running and happily greets the woman called Subaru, who is also one of the 12 guardians and her former teacher. Subaru then introduces her friend Tara, who is happily eating bread crusts. Subaru asks the twin star exorcists about their newlywed lives, and both of them say that they don't plan to marry each other ever. However, Roku thinks that since Subaru is one of the 12 guardians, she can train him to become stronger. He requests that she train him because there is someone he wants to defeat, and Benio also joins him. Subaru accepts their request without wasting time and then hands them a piece of paper that is the start of their training. Following the address given in the paper, they reach a luxury clothing store where Subaru has arranged some clothes for them. Roku is smitten to see Benio in a dress, but then he gets disappointed as he sees that she is still carrying her talismans and weapons with her. They go outside, where Roku reads the second instruction on the paper, which asks him to say what he felt when he saw Benio in a new dress. Both of them are embarrassed thinking about it, and just then, Subaru comes there in her vintage car and taunts Roku, asking what kind of man he is if he can't even compliment a woman. Next, they go to a relaxing street, where they are given the instruction to hold each other's hands. Roku can't think of any training that requires this, but Benio trusts her teacher fully. Roku decides to take hold of her hand, but as he gets close, both of them get too flustered. Just touching their hands is enough to make their hearts pound rapidly, and Roku claims that Subaru is just toying with them. He asks Benio what she has even taught her, and thinking about the past, Benio recalls that Subaru was always more interested in romance than in exorcism. Just then, Subaru drives to them again, and seeing Benio dissatisfied, she tells her that because she focuses only on combat training, she has not grown as an exorcist. These words rattle Benio, and she decides to follow her teacher's training to the end. The next thing on the list is to go to a restaurant, order a couple's special pancake, and feed it to each other. Benio is willing to do that, but Roku can't take it anymore, so he rushes outside to yell at Subaru. She simply ignores him and hands him the next slip that says he must kiss Benio. Both of them turn red on reading that, and finally, Benio asks if Arima was the one who set these things in motion. Subaru agrees and informs them that everything today is on Arima's tab. Roku and Benio are frustrated, so they run away. But then Roku notices a sweet shop. He orders Benio's favorite sweets because the bill is going to be sent to Arima anyway. They eat sweets by the riverside when, suddenly, Kanako arrives there to alert them about demons. Suddenly, the area around them turns dark, and Benio opens a gate to Megano, where a horde of small demons are trying to enter the real world. Roku and Benio immediately gear up to fight, but Roku's enchanted arm starts giving him trouble. He screams in pain, and as Benio goes to check up on him, he goes berserk and attacks her. He tries to keep his arm under control and asks Benio to run away, but she reminds him that they will grow stronger together. She puts a pacifying talisman on his arm to subdue it, but in doing so, she uses up a great deal of spiritual energy. The demons surround them, and with Benio weak and exhausted, Roku has to fight all the demons while protecting her. He pulls her away from danger, but they are surrounded on all sides. Luckily, Subaru arrives there to help them and blows away the demons. She congratulates Roku and Benio for finally hugging each other, and they immediately separate. She tells them that as twin star exorcists, they will get stronger by getting closer to each other, and they need to do a lot of work on that because they have not even gone on a date despite being married. Anyway, she needs to purify the demons here first, and for that, she uses a talisman to manifest her true power. She turns her fan into pistols and blasts the demons off with great precision. After that, she turns the fan into a shotgun and then into a Tommy gun to blast away the demons. In the meantime, the demons attack Tara and make the mistake of harming his breadsticks, so he uses his power and instantly annihilates them all, and Benio recognizes that it is the power of one of the 12 guardians as well. On the other hand, Subaru has finished dealing with all the demons, and she patches up the rupture between the two worlds before heading home with Tara. Roku and Benio leave for home as well, and as Roku is talking about how impressive Subaru was, Benio can only think about how she has never been on a date. She wonders if this is a date, and both she and Roku get flustered. Well, their training continues the next day, and it is just Subaru making them care for her. Roku tells her that he does not have time to entertain her whims because he would rather train to become stronger. Even Benio agrees with her, and since they are finally on the same page, Subaru decides to give them what they want. She tells them that they will play hide and seek, and if they can find her before sunset, she will give them the military-style training they want. Roku thinks it will be easy to spot her with that long and flowy dress, but then Subaru suddenly vanishes into a flurry of petals. Benio remarks that it must have been a clone to distract them, and she suggests that they immediately start looking for her. They look for her in places where she obviously can't be, but Benio finds something dirty. It is Roku's stash of Playboy magazines, and she is not happy that she has to live with a pervert like him. She hits him with the magazine in her rage, and a paper slip comes flying out of it. It is a message from Subaru, who tells them that a married couple shouldn't keep secrets from each other. She also writes that she is going out for a bit, and Roku rushes to find her outside. However, he has no idea where she is, and Benio isn't any better. Just then, they hear two women talking about the lady in the fancy dress, and after learning about her location, Roku and Benio reach a cafe where Subaru was present a few moments ago. They ask the servers there about her, and after following the leads that make them run from one shop to another, they come to a restaurant where Subaru left without paying the tab, so Roku has to pay for it out of his pocket. He is ready to give up now, but Benio suggests that rather than chasing Subaru, they should try to predict where she is going. She thinks that after eating, she would go somewhere to exercise because she was thinking about losing some fat. Roku recalls that she was reading a magazine about a fitness center earlier, so he rushes there, but the only person they find there is Tara impersonating Subaru. He hands them a note from Subaru saying that they are quite close. They head outside with that, when suddenly, the sky darkens. Benio thinks there is a demon nearby, but Kanako can't feel anything. Benio still opens a gate to Megano, where they find a giant squid demon. Roku attacks it with his rock bullets, while Benio also uses her rapid slash technique on it. However, the demon is unaffected, and it also squirts some smoke to reduce visibility. Roku and Benio are separated, and the squid keeps attacking them constantly. They want to fight back, but they are worried about hitting each other because of the low visibility. Suddenly, they realize that they should predict what the other is going to do, and by doing so, they will be able to fight perfectly in sync. Benio believes that Roku will attack first, and he does so, tearing the squid's tentacles with his enchanted fist, and Benio supports him by slicing off another tentacle. They get together for a final attack and pierce the squid, but it bursts into petals, and they realize that it was created by Subaru. She is also there with Tara by her side, and she praises Roku and Benio for working well together. Roku says that they have won the game of hide and seek since she came to them herself, but Subaru just calls them dumb and then vanishes into petals because this was also a clone, and the real Subaru was just watching TV at home. The next day, Subaru leaves the house and thanks the newlywed couple for their hospitality. Roku complains that she didn't teach them anything till the end, but Benio believes that they learned a lot about trusting each other and guessing what the other person is thinking. Later that day, Roku starts training to control the power of his enchanted arm. His control is getting better now, but he knows that he needs to work on power as well if he wants to defeat Yudo. He goes out of the training room to find the entire house filled with smoke. He rushes to the kitchen to find Benio cooking Gordon Ramsay's worst nightmare. Roku can tell that the dish she is making is sewer water tasting poison, but Benio is confident that it will be good. She gives one glass to Roku while taking another one for herself. Roku thanks her for being considerate, but he can't bring himself to drink it. Benio, however, has no problem at all chugging down the nasty abomination. Roku decides to man up and drink it too, but it tastes so nasty that he starts rolling on the floor. He declares that he can't live with a girl who can't even cook food suitable for human consumption, and Benio gets offended by it. She says that it is not like he can cook either, so Roku decides that he will cook dinner today, and if she likes it, she will have to cook food like that instead of her nasty stew. Benio gives him a judgmental side-eye and then leaves for an evening jog, saying that if she exercises and builds up an appetite, maybe the food he will make will be palatable for her. Roku gets busy cooking, but as he wonders what kind of food Benio ate in her childhood to twist her taste so much, he burns it. He eventually finishes cooking something decent, even though he has made a mess of the kitchen in doing that. He is confident that Benio will like the taste, but he thinks that if she takes her time returning home, the food will go cold and she won't be able to relish its true taste. On the other hand, while Benio is jogging, she sees a girl asking her mother about dinner today, and that reminds her of her childhood, where her parents used to be so busy exorcising demons that they didn't have time to cook dinner, so the only thing they made for dinner was curry or ordered sweets. After their deaths, Benio got to eat better food, but that didn't sit well with her. She keeps running to get that feeling out of her mind when suddenly, Kanako alerts her about a very powerful demon nearby, and she decides to purify it immediately. Soon after that, Roku also comes there to find her so that she can eat the food while it is still hot, but he doesn't find her anywhere. Benio is in Megano, facing a rather fearsome-looking demon, but just as she is about to attack him, another person obliterates the demon. Benio is flung to the side, and then the person who just killed the demon comes to talk to her. He himself is a humanoid demon named Kamui, and he asks Benio if she knows where the twin star exorcists are. He gives her 10 seconds to answer him, or he will kill her, but those words remind Benio of her parents' deaths. That time, a powerful demon appeared and defeated them both, and he left the young Roku with the option to save either one of them. He gave her just 10 seconds to decide, and upon seeing the demon in front of her now, Benio is certain that he is the same one. She charges at Kamui, yelling out his name, and he abruptly stops his countdown to ask how she knows about him. He easily dodges Benio's attack, who asks him if he doesn't remember the exorcist couple he killed 6 years ago. Benio attacks him again, but Kamui shatters her sword with just a touch of his hand and then flicks his fingers to break her leg. He asks Benio if he is supposed to remember how many ants he has stepped on, and then kicks her away. Benio is completely defeated now, and Kamui says that he would call her pathetic, but this is as much as he expects from humans. He stomps on her head, asking if she wants to be crushed to death like her parents or die under his foot. He begins a countdown from 10 again, and Benio can only cry as she remembers her promise to avenge her parents. Kamui almost reaches the end of his countdown when, suddenly, Roku arrives there and punches him away with all his might. He looks at the injured Benio and scolds her for running away on her own. He says that the food he cooked has gone cold, and he came here looking for her just for that. He tells her to patch herself up quickly so that they can defeat the demon and head home, and Benio is moved. Just then, Kamui comes out and fixes his neck, saying that if others heard that he got hit by a human, they would make fun of him. Roku panics, wondering how a demon can speak and how he is still intact after taking his full power punch. He stands face to face with the talking demon when Benio collapses. Roku runs to her side, and she asks him to run away because he cannot fight Kamui because he is not a regular demon but a Basara. Basara are those demons who have consumed so many other demons and exorcists that they evolve into a higher form. They possess incredible strength and wisdom, and their appearance is also like that of humans. Benio tells Roku that they need to avoid fighting at all costs, but Kamui is interested in checking how strong Roku is. Suddenly, the demon he obliterated earlier gets up again, and in the moment Kamui is distracted by it, Roku runs away with Benio and reaches the real world. He heals her using a talisman, and Benio immediately gets up to return to Megano and fight Kamui. She falls to her knees because she is too weak, and Roku asks her why she is so desperate to find the evolved demon. Benio tells him that Kamui was the one who killed her parents 6 years ago, and that is why she needs to defeat him to get revenge. She claims that if she can't win, she will die trying, but Roku reminds her that she is still trembling. He calls her an idiot for contradicting herself. She asked him not to fight, and now she is going to fight a battle she cannot win. He tells her that being reckless won't do her any good, and Benio starts crying because she has no idea what to do now. She says that all these years she trained so that she could defeat Kamui, but today she found that she could not even touch him. She is afraid to face him and die, but she feels that if she runs away, she won't ever be able to face her parents. Seeing her so devastated, Roku is reminded of the time he cursed himself after the accident at the dorm. He gives her the dinner he made, telling her to eat it and cheer up. He says that once she gains energy, they will head into Megano and defeat Kamui together. Benio says that it is her battle and he doesn't need to get involved, and he replies that he owes becoming an exorcist again to her, and he can at least do this much for her. He hands her the dinner and then heads into Megano alone to stall Kamui for time. Benio eats the food, and even though it doesn't taste good at all, it makes her feel better. Kamui has just finished destroying the huge demon, and as he is absorbing its energy, Roku comes there to fight him. He attacks the demon and manages to push him back with his punch, but it doesn't seem that he did any damage. However, Kamui is impressed by Roku's power and sees some potential in him. He wants to let him go, saying that he will have more fun fighting him when he has become much stronger. He gives Roku 10 seconds to decide if he wants to keep fighting or if he wants to run away now, but Roku doesn't trust him. Kamui says that it is his hobby to give humans a choice because he likes to see what decision they make in the face of death. He says that some people rush to attack him and others beg for mercy, and those who are willing to sacrifice themselves for others are rare. Speaking of that, he finally recalls Benio. He had asked her which of her parents she wanted to spare, but she was too afraid to make a decision. So he asked her parents if they wanted to be spared or to let their daughter live, and they chose Benio's survival without hesitation. Roku gets furious on hearing this, and he immediately launches a barrage of destructive attacks on Kamui, pushing him back. The demon is really impressed by his power, so he decides to get a little serious too. He takes out a curse talisman and enchants his legs with it, and Roku is flabbergasted because demons shouldn't be able to use enchantments. Kamui hits him with a powerful kick, and though Roku blocks it, the damage he takes is too great for his body to handle. He is unable to get up, so Kamui decides to end him quickly, but suddenly, Benio attacks him and pushes him away with her rapid slashes. She keeps hopping on one foot, and Kamui tells her to get lost because he has no interest in her. Benio suddenly charges at him, and Kamui feels that she is sharper and fiercer than before. She uses a special move to hit him up in the sky, but as she rushes to finish him, Kamui tells her that she can't win against him with just her determination because she lacks power. She is determined to hit him as many times as it is needed to finish him, but Kamui simply kicks her back to the ground. Benio thinks that she was so close to getting her revenge when, suddenly, Roku holds her. He grabs her sword and supports her, saying that they should combine their powers to defeat their enemy. Benio agrees, and both of them unleash their spiritual power together. As a result of their resonating powers, Benio's sword suddenly evolves and changes shape. Kamui charges at them, and they swing their sword at him with full power. A gigantic explosion ensues, and Roku hopes that they succeeded in exorcising Kamui. To his surprise, the demon is still alive, even though he lost one leg in the last clash. He finally understands that Benio and Roku are the twin star exorcists he is looking for. Roku asks how he knows about them, and Kamui says that the demon and exorcists have been at war for thousands of years, so he obviously knows this much about his enemies. He says that he wanted to eliminate them before they gave birth to the Miko, who will have the power to eradicate all the demons from the world, but for now, he will let them live because they entertained him. Kamui says that he doesn't even care who wins the war between demons and exorcists, because he will be fine as long as he has fun. He tells Roku and Benio to get strong enough to let him use his real strength the next time they meet, and he suggests that he can also fight their child, the Miko, if they want. He leaves with that, and Roku falls to the floor along with Benio, and they lose consciousness. Fortunately, Arima was watching over them this entire time, and he is pleased by the performance of his twin star exorcists. Soon after that, Benio wakes up from a dream about her parents and finds Roku sound asleep next to her. She panics for a bit and then notices that they are in the couple's bedroom, and she is certain that Arima is behind it. She grabs her knees and begins thinking about how she needs to become stronger so that she can defeat Kamui the next time they meet. And then she looks at Roku, without whom she would be dead. She leans in close to thank him, but then thinks about how Arima and even Kamui wanted them to have a kid, and that makes her blush. Just then, Roku starts talking in his sleep, saying Benio's name. She wonders what he is going to say, but he just insults her for eating sweets every time, and she angrily hits him just as he wakes up, resuming their chaotic lives even as they keep getting closer to each other.